Hey YouTube. I haven't made a video on unprotected left turns on this Beta 7 build yet, so that's what I'm going to try to do today, is just do a handful of unprotected left turns, demonstrating and evaluating the vision and creeping of the car without a protected stoplight. So here we're at our first one. Alright, it creeped and saw oncoming traffic that time. And it's clear to the left and on the right, and it should be able to go all the way into the left lane. Alright, so with a good gap in traffic, I would say that one performed well. Okay, the second one has a look back to the left, a little bit sharper of an angle back to the left with oncoming traffic coming from the left. And it's currently not clear. You see, as I lean forward, okay, it found a nice gap, and it needs to keep going. And a little slow in that traffic, but with the traffic that was coming, it was not unsafe. It just was slower than perhaps I would have gone as I crossed that traffic. But if it was doing an evaluation about oncoming traffic, it was fine. Traffic's a little less dense than perhaps rush hour right now. Okay, this one is a stop sign, unprotected left turn with a median here in the middle, so the traffic is divided here, and it's the same oncoming traffic from the left. Where the stop line is, it doesn't have a view, so it needs to stop. Okay, it didn't stop. It is clear, so that's a scenario where perhaps the car was seeing more than the driver, but as a beta tester, I have to ensure that the oncoming traffic is clear, and the car was already proceeding. So I'm going to say that it should have creeped after the stop line, but it didn't that time. We'll try it again. Okay, we're going to do this one for a second time. The stop line involved here, it needs to creep a little bit so that the B-pillar camera can possibly get a view of this oncoming traffic that's going between 40 and 55 miles an hour. Okay, that time it stopped. That's exactly what it should do. Now, it may have stopped because of traffic that it could see, and it did a good job there. Okay, it is now clear to the left, but it's not. It just stopped becoming clear. Okay, so that's an example of the B-pillar having a little bit of difficulty, and I'm not 100% sure how they're going to solve that one yet. And I'll proceed manually on this one. Okay, we're at the same intersection. I'm going to do a third example of it, and I think I'm going to go a little bit further into the description. So those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about when I say the B-pillar camera. So when I'm here as a driver, I have a field of view out of the windows and even in my rear view mirror. I think everyone that is a driver would acknowledge when there's scenarios to the left, especially on unprotected left turns, where you need to evaluate oncoming traffic, a good driver leans forward to see as much as they can without putting the front of the vehicle in the oncoming traffic lane. The B-pillar camera, for example, in the Model Y that I'm driving here, is behind me. So that would almost be like me leaning back to get a good view of the oncoming traffic. So all the Tesla has is the forward field of view camera up here, the B-pillar camera from the perspective it has that could be occluded, and then the fisheye capability of the cameras and how they overlap. But when there's an obstacle in front of the B-pillar camera, it basically is blind until it creeps forward, and the creep has the opportunity of putting the car in the lane of traffic. So I'm just going to do this one more time. Okay, it stopped at the stop line, and it said unable to complete maneuver, please assist now. And I'm assisting by just pressing the accelerator and then into the middle lane and coming left. I disengaged that time because there was a car right behind me. So that's not a perfect example of what the car could do with the press on the accelerator. I hope that makes a little bit of, it was clear when I'm describing what I mean by the B-pillar doesn't have a view on some of these intersections where I'm trying to see how the car behaves. Okay, this is an unprotected left turn at a light where the oncoming traffic has the right of way. The left turn has to yield, and it says autopilot pause, waiting for cross traffic. So that's smart. These cars have the right of way, but I'm trying to take a left. Okay, they've all gone. The autopilot should go while it's green. And it did. So that's a good example of how the car should behave, waiting on possibly having traffic come across. Now, optimally, a human driver would look at the turn signals of the cars oncoming and would go for it if they had room with a lot of turn signals and everybody was turning, not going straight. The car is not ready to make that decision yet. It's still just waiting for vehicles that it has the right of way, as it was indicating. That was a good job. Okay, here we have just a two-way, a one-way stop sign with an unprotected left out onto 2 lanes of traffic. Pretty low traffic volume here, but it was clear. I like the way it creeped that time. Okay, here we've got an intersection that's a little bit of a hard back look back to the right. It's kind of a funny stop sign intersection that Tesla's had a little bit trouble getting it. The stop line, there's a stop line right here. It is clear to the left and it is clear to the right, but it would be a hard, slow creep out to look back to the left. But with no obstructions, I feel the B-pillar camera can see that angle okay. It was good. Okay, this is a stop sign with a 2-lane road for an unprotected going to the left. The view is not bad here, but the traffic density is pretty low, so it's clear to the left. It's going to be able to proceed no problem. Nice and smooth. Without traffic, these are easy solutions for the current build. Okay, this is the final exam stop sign intersection. 1, 2, 3 stop signs with a stop line well behind where it needs to go. It needs to creep, it needs to stop, it needs to stop. Okay, it's not, right there is where it needed to stop so I could see and the B-pillar could see. I'm still not in the traffic, so this is a solvable problem here with a creep. It's just not quite doing it yet. Okay, this is the stop from the opposite side of that complicated intersection. It needs to go to the stop line, look to the left, which usually is pretty low traffic. There's no traffic right now. There's a couple joggers to the left. And it needs to creep and ensure it's clear from the right. And then it needs to proceed. Does it fine with no traffic. And that one had decent visibility and it did it at a good speed. Nice job. Okay, this is a fairly straightforward 2-way stop with oncoming traffic coming from both directions. Very low traffic density again this morning. Stop line a little bit early. It is clear to the left and right. And it creeps slow enough that had there been oncoming traffic, I think it would have done just fine. That'll work. Okay, so what I think I've learned from today's testing is that Beta 7 is improving. It is doing some things to ensure that it has a better angle. The B-pillar camera, like we discussed a little bit earlier in the video, is back here to the left. It has a fixed location. It can't move its head like a driver can to ensure that the lane is clear. So it's going to have to use what it has available to it to ensure that oncoming traffic is clear before it commits with an acceleration. And also before it creeps into the oncoming traffic. That is the other issue that they're going to have to work on. In low traffic scenarios, I think we saw really good success. I think it knows how to proceed through these stop signs. It's right now what I'm looking for, and I'm reporting to the early access team, just so everyone knows, is creeping behavior, and then the ability to give the B-pillars, in addition to the front-facing cameras, the best view possible when it's occluded. And when it is occluded, it needs to know, and not just proceed. In some scenarios, I feel like it's like, I can't see it, must be okay. That is a big assumption right now. If we were to deploy something like this in its current form, to those of you that have full self-driving that understand with the confirm on the gear stalk of the accelerator, that would be a way of solving this for the time being, is to deploy that and let the human verify it's clear, like they've done with green stoplights in the current build. I think that could work. Hope that helps. Enjoy the video.